3 days ago, at 2:47 in the morning, a woman in Lagos deleted 847
I
Instagram
can't believe
posts in
this.
under 2 minutes.
It's
Every
gone now.
anniversary photo, every couple goals caption, every smile that made 340,000 people believe her marriage was perfect. By sunrise, her husband was sitting in his Range Rover outside their own mansion, too ashamed to go inside. But here's what the Twitter celebrations and "I knew it was fake" comments don't understand. This wasn't about cheating. It wasn't about money. It wasn't even about love dying. This was about something our grandmothers warned us about. Something the Yoruba call age. And what she discovered will make you check how many times you touched your phone today. Because right now, 10,000 couples across Africa are performing a ritual they don't even know they're part of. And your marriage might be dying the exact same way. You are here, family. Welcome to Lifetales by Sally. It's clear you love a deep dive. I put dozens of hours into researching these stories. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 100 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these tales matter. Please subscribe to Lifetales by Sally, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Chioma and Damilola's Instagram had 340,000 followers. That's more people than lived in the ancient Benin kingdom at its peak. Think about that. Their marriage didn't exist in one location. It existed in 340,000 minds simultaneously, each person projecting their own hunger onto the pixels. In traditional Igbo culture, when a marriage was celebrated, the entire village witnessed it. Maybe 200 people. Maybe 500 in a large community. Those witnesses held a kuko, the sacred story, together with their direct memory and shared truth. But Chioma and Damilola's marriage had 340,000 witnesses who never heard their voices. Here's what the algorithm did that no ancestor could have predicted. It turned witnesses into worshippers. Every like was a prayer. Every comment an offering. Every share, a ritual of devotion to an idea that didn't exist. The Yoruba have a concept, Imi Aworan, the spirit that lives in images. Our ancestors knew that when you carve a statue or paint a portrait, you're not just capturing appearance. You're creating a second soul that can develop its own hunger, its own demands. Instagram gave Chioma and Damilola a second marriage. And that marriage, the one made of light and longing and projection, started demanding sacrifices the real marriage couldn't sustain. You felt this. Don't lie to yourself. That moment when you're having a beautiful experience, a sunset, a meal, a kiss, and your first instinct isn't to feel it fully but to capture it, to perform it, to translate it into content. The Igbo elders say, Ani naiko ibumadu abio naifu otu. The person trying to be two people loses one. Chioma was trying to be two wives. The one Damilola touched, and the one 340,000 strangers envied. Guess which one was easier to love? It started innocently. June 2019. Damilola surprised Chioma with breakfast in bed. Proper Nigerian breakfast, not the oyinbo nonsense. Yam and egg sauce. Fresh pap. Garden egg stew with stockfish the way his mother taught him. Chioma's first reaction wasn't gratitude. It was panic. The morning light was wrong. Her bonnet was still on. The food looked amazing but not aesthetic. She couldn't post this. So she said, Baby, this is beautiful, but can we do it again in 30 minutes? Better lighting. Damilola laughed. He thought she was joking. She wasn't. They reheated the food. She changed into a specific silk nightgown, bought specifically for content, never actually slept in. He brought the tray again. She shot 47 different angles. The food went cold during editing. The post got 23,000 likes. The actual breakfast got thrown away. This is what our ancestors meant by Ichu Aya Nfu, making sacrifices to emptiness. But here's the poison that makes this story different from a simple social media addiction tale. It was working. Their follower count exploded. Brands started reaching out. Money came. Real money. Chioma got an endorsement deal with a luxury skincare line. N $2.3 million for 3 posts. Damilola's tech company got featured in a business magazine specifically because journalists wanted to interview that couple from Instagram. The second marriage was feeding the first marriage. So when do you stop? The Yoruba have a proverb. Enitoba nje aaron age ud age funrari. Whoever keeps eating the witch's meat will become a witch themselves. Every time that second marriage, the Instagram one, provided real-world benefits, It justified its own existence. The algorithm wasn't just watching them anymore. It was farming them. And they were farming each other. December 2021. Chioma's father died. Papa Okonkwo, a schoolteacher for 40 years. The kind of Igbo man who could recite Chinua Achebe from memory and fix any engine ever built. He died of a stroke on a Tuesday morning in his garden, holding tomatoes he'd just picked. Chioma was destroyed. Damalola held her through 3 days of traditional mourning rites. He slept on the floor beside her mat when tradition demanded it. He sang the Abu Akwa, mourning songs, in Igbo he'd learned phonetically because his own father never taught him. He was present. He was real. He was the husband she needed. She posted nothing. For 6 days, during the wake-keeping, the funeral service, the burial, her Instagram went silent. And her followers panicked. This is where it gets disturbing. The DMs started immediately. Are you guys okay? Did something happen with you and Dammy? We're worried about you. Is the marriage in trouble? Read that again. Her father was dead, and strangers were worried about her marriage content. One message said, I know you're going through something, but we really look forward to your posts. You inspire us. Please don't disappear. But the message that broke something in Chioma came from a fan account, a page dedicated to reposting their couple content. It said, we paid for promotion on 3 of your posts this month. Your silence is affecting our engagement. This is a partnership. Please be professional. They had created an ecosystem that treated her humanity as a content supply chain. The Igbo concept of Ogbanj isn't just about spirit children who die and return. It's about cycles that feed on themselves. A hunger that creates the very thing it devours. Chioma realized she couldn't grieve privately without it becoming a public concern. She couldn't suffer without 340,000 people either demanding access to that suffering or resenting her for withholding it. The second marriage had become more real than the first, because the second marriage had an audience that needed it to survive. The first marriage only had 2 people, and 2 people can choose to stop performing. But 340,000? They vote. They demand. They punish withdrawal. Damalola noticed it first. February 2022. They were having a genuine argument about money, about his mother's criticism of Chioma's cooking, normal marriage friction. They were working through it like adults. Then Chioma's phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Your engagement is down 34% this week. Post something to reconnect with your audience. The app was tracking their silence. Here's what most people don't understand about modern algorithms. They're not measuring engagement anymore. They're measuring dependency. Every app now has AI that detects behavioral patterns. When Chioma and Damalola posted regularly, their relationship had a rhythm. Sunday brunch posts, Wednesday midweek motivation couple photos, Friday date nights. When they stopped, the algorithm didn't just notice the absence of content. It detected the presence of conflict. And it started doing something our ancestors would recognize immediately. It started feeding on the disruption. The Yoruba call this abami, the divination of chaos. The algorithm began showing them other perfect couples. Started recommending posts about marriage red flags and when to walk away. Started placing ads for divorce lawyers in their feeds. It was accelerating the destruction it sensed. This is the technology our grandmothers warned us about when they said, Ianito babo okanoroud. Whoever listens to too many voices will be bound. The algorithm doesn't want you to succeed or fail. It wants you to feel intensely because intensity creates engagement, and engagement creates profit. A happy couple posting occasionally is worth less than a couple in crisis posting frantically, either trying to prove everything's fine or documenting the collapse. Either way, the phone eats. June 2022. 2:47 a.m. Chioma couldn't sleep. She went to the living room and found Damalola already there, staring at his phone in the dark. She asked what he was doing. He said, checking if we're still married. He showed her his screen. Their last post was 11 days old. The comments were a graveyard of speculation. They're definitely getting divorced. I knew it was fake all along. She's probably cheating, that's why she's quiet. He probably hit her. These men are all the same. Strangers were writing their divorce into existence, and neither of them had said a word. Damalola asked Chioma a question that broke the spell. When was the last time we had a conversation that wasn't about content? She couldn't remember. Neither could he. The Igbo have a principle. Aichioma negi eku aku yanala and thi. Good things that are constantly spoken about will be destroyed. There's wisdom in silence. in privacy, in keeping sacred things unexplained to outsiders. But they had explained everything, performed everything, translated every private joy into public consumption. And in doing so, they'd made their marriage answerable to strangers. That night, they made a decision. 1 week of complete silence. No posts. No stories. No engagement. 7 days to remember who they were before 340,000 people decided who they should be. Day 1 of silence, peaceful. Day 2, uncomfortable. Day 3, warfare. The brand started calling. The influencer agency that managed some of their deals sent an official warning. Silence violated their contract. They were obligated to post minimum 3 times per week. Their marriage had become contractually obligated to perform. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part was what happened to them psychologically. Chioma would have moments of genuine happiness. Cooking jollof rice the way her mother taught her. Dancing to Burna Boy in the kitchen. Laughing at Damilola's terrible attempt to speak Igbo to her uncle. And her hand would reach for her phone automatically. Not to remember the moment. To prove it happened. The Yoruba understand this as Ojiji Imi, shadow possession. When your shadow self, the curated version, becomes more real than your physical self, you start to believe you only exist when observed. You know this feeling. That panic when your phone dies and you're experiencing something beautiful. That reflexive anxiety. If I don't post this, did it happen? Does it count? The algorithm has trained us to believe that unwitnessed joy is wasted joy. Our ancestors knew differently. The Igbo concept of Nkiti, the ordinary, the mundane, the private, was considered sacred specifically because it was unperformed. Not everything is a ceremony. Not every meal is a feast. Not every kiss is a declaration. Some things are just for you. Day 5 of silence. Chioma had a dream. In it, she was in her grandmother's village. The old woman, dead now for 6 years, was sitting outside her compound pounding yam. But the mortar was full of phones. Hundreds of them. And with each strike of the pestle, the phones screamed. Her grandmother looked up and said in Igbo, "Nwam, I jimbo gi erin di ozo. Agagiego. My child, you are using your energy to feed strangers. Will you not be hungry?" Then she said something that made Chioma wake up gasping. Igui nairi ma odaigi animaka. Onaikonso obugi ie Chioma. The machine eats without giving thanks. It wants sacrifice, not goodness. This is where African spiritual wisdom intersects with digital surveillance capitalism in ways that should terrify you. Our ancestors understood spiritual economy. Everything that receives attention becomes empowered. Every altar you build, whether to ancestors or gods or ideas, will demand feeding. Instagram is an altar. TikTok is an altar. Twitter is an altar. And they demand blood sacrifice in the form of authenticity, privacy, and peace. The algorithm is not conscious, but it doesn't need to be. A trap doesn't need to think to catch prey. It just needs to be well designed. And social media is the most perfectly designed trap in human history. The Yoruba priests say, "Biaba enbo are with grave can o Jew, awan are with grave myron abinu." If you worship only one deity too much, the other deities will be angry. You are worshiping the algorithm, with your time, your creativity, your relationships, your mental peace, more than you worship your own life. And your life is getting jealous. Your real relationships are withering because you're feeding the digital ones. Your real marriage is dying because you're maintaining the perfect simulation. Day 7. The last day of their experiment. Damilola and Chioma sat on their balcony overlooking Lekki. No phones. Just conversation. He asked her, "If we deleted everything tomorrow, who would we be?" She started crying before she could answer. Because she didn't know. Identity is a story we tell ourselves. But for 3 years, Chioma had let 340,000 people tell her story for her. She was Chioma from Instagram. The wife with the perfect marriage. The woman who had it all figured out. The couple everyone wanted to be. But who is she when the camera turned off? The Igbo have a word. Onyenwimu. The person you are when nobody is watching. Your true self. Your unperformed essence. Chioma had lost her Onyenwimu. She'd traded it for Onyenwakwu, the person everyone talks about. And the exchange rate was destroying her. Here's the test. Imagine your phone breaks tomorrow. All your social media accounts are permanently deleted. No backup. No recovery. Who are you? If that question causes panic, you're already in the trap. If that question causes relief, you know what you need to do. Chioma didn't announce it. Didn't post a long explanation. Didn't give the audience closure. She just opened Instagram, went to settings, and started deleting. 847 posts. 1,200 stories archived. 340,000 followers. Gone. Damalola watched her do it. Didn't try to stop her. Didn't ask if she was sure. He just held her hand while she pressed delete, over and over and over. Because he understood, she wasn't deleting content. She was performing an exorcism. The Yoruba have purification rituals, IWFA, where you remove spiritual parasites that have attached themselves to your essence. You burn herbs. You bathe in prepared water. You speak incantations. Chioma was performing digital IWFA. Each deletion was a declaration. This does not own me. This does not define me. This is not my God. You don't have to delete everything. But you do have to ask yourself, what are you feeding that's feeding on you? What ritual are you performing daily that empowers something you don't actually believe in? The algorithm knows your weakness. It knows you crave validation. It knows you fear irrelevance. It knows you've confused visibility with value. And it will milk that confusion until you have nothing left. The first week after deletion was withdrawal. Chioma's hands reached for her phone constantly. Phantom notifications haunted her. She'd wake up at 3 a.m. with ideas for captions, then remember, there's nowhere to post them. Damalola watched her grieve a relationship that never actually existed. But by week 2, something shifted. They had a real conversation at breakfast. Not content. Not performance. Just two people talking about their actual day, their actual fears, their actual hopes. Chioma laughed, genuinely laughed, and didn't immediately think about how it would look in a video. They went to the beach. Took no photos. Just stood in the water and remembered what it felt like to experience something without translating it into content. This is what the Igbo call Imalite Ozo, to begin again. Not to rebuild what was, but to discover what could be. Here's what nobody tells you about deleting your digital shrine. You don't lose followers. You lose the version of yourself that needed followers. And that loss feels like death because it is death. The death of a false self. The death of the performed identity. But on the other side of that death? Freedom. 3 months after the deletion, Chioma got a message on WhatsApp from someone she'd never met. A young woman, 19 years old, from Abuja. The message said, "You don't know me, but I followed your account for 2 years. I was planning my wedding, trying to make everything look like your posts. My fiancé and I were fighting because real life wasn't matching what I saw on your page. When you deleted everything, I was angry at first. But then I realized, you freed me too. I stopped trying to perform my relationship and started living it. We got married last month. No Instagram photographer. No content. Just us and our families. It was perfect. Thank you for showing me that disappearing is an option." Chioma cried reading it. Because she understood. The best thing she ever posted was nothing. The Yoruba have a proverb. Iwo sun iwa rear ki I fun awan ian. O any fun era eni. The sacrifice of good character is not for people, it's for yourself. Chioma's deletion wasn't a message to her followers. It was a message to herself. I am more than content. My marriage is more than a brand. My life is more than a feed. And paradoxically, that message reached more people than any perfectly filtered photo ever did. You're afraid that if you stop performing, people will forget you. Let them. The people who love the performance don't love you. They love the idea of you. And that idea will drain you until you're a shell filled with metrics and paranoia. The people who love you without content? Those are your real ancestors. Those are the relationships worth protecting. Damalola and Chioma rebuilt their marriage in private. No announcements. No public therapy sessions. No vulnerability content. They fought. They reconciled. They learned each other again, not as content creators, but as humans. And the relationship became boring in the best possible way. Boring is sacred. The Igbo concept of nkiti again, the ordinary, the unspectacular, the private mundane. There's no algorithm for cooking soup together on a Tuesday. No engagement metrics for holding hands during a power outage. No virality in the 1,000 tiny moments that make a marriage real. But those moments are what actually matters. The ancestors didn't have Instagram, but they had marriages that lasted 60 years. Not because they performed love, but because they practiced it in unglamorous, unwitnessed ways. Your relationship is not content. Your life is not content. You are not content. The moment you understand this, really understand it, is the moment you're free. 1 year after the deletion, Chioma visited her grandmother's grave. She brought palm wine and kola nut, traditional offerings. spoke in Igbo the way her father taught her. And she said something that felt like the ending of a folktale. Mama Akwu, Emila Mihi Igwara Nanro. Uila Du La and Ogba. Great mother, I have done what you told me in the dream. I have taken my life back from the trap. The wisdom of ancestors isn't about rejecting modernity. It's about refusing to let modernity reject your humanity. Technology is a tool. But when the tool starts using you, when the platform starts farming you, when the algorithm starts eating you, you must remember you are not food. This story isn't about marriage. It's not about Instagram. It's about ownership. Who owns your attention? Who owns your story? Who owns your sense of self-worth? If the answer is the algorithm, then you're not living your life. You're being lived by the algorithm. And the algorithm is a terrible god. It demands constant sacrifice and gives nothing back but the illusion of love from strangers who would forget you in 24 hours. Here's what I need you to understand before this story ends. Chioma and Damilola's marriage didn't fail because of Instagram. It almost failed because they forgot that some things are too sacred to share. The Yoruba have a concept, Ewithgravar, sacred secrets. Not secrets of shame, but secrets of power. Things that lose their potency when exposed to public consumption. Your marriage is an Ewithgravar. Your genuine happiness is an Ewithgravar. Your unfiltered self is an Ewithgravar. And every time you post that sacred thing for validation, you're not sharing it. You're sacrificing it. The algorithm is designed to make you believe that sharing is caring, that visibility is value, that if something isn't witnessed by thousands, it doesn't count. This is a lie older than technology. It's the same lie that made ancient people build golden calves and sacrifice their children to Moloch. The lie that external validation is worth internal destruction. Your ancestors knew better. The Igbo say, Aichi MMA Nki Zoro Ezo di MMA Korea Nki Igozairai. Good things that are hidden are better than those displayed. Not because hiding is virtuous, but because some things grow in darkness. Some things need privacy to become real. Some things die when exposed to too much light. Your marriage is one of those things. This script you're reading? It's not telling you to delete your social media. It's asking you to remember what you deleted from yourself to maintain it. Chioma's grandmother used to say, Yua na agbanwi, maichi nai madu ka o buru madu adigi agbanwi. The world changes, but what makes a human being human does not change. You are not an algorithm. You are not a metric. You are not a brand. You are a human being with a soul that predates technology and will outlast it. And that soul needs things technology cannot provide. Real touch, not digital hearts. Real presence, not performative content. Real love, not curated aesthetics. Real peace, not viral moments. The folktale structure our ancestors used wasn't about happy endings. It was about warnings and transformations. Every story about Anansi the spider, or Mami Wada, or the tortoise and the birds, they weren't entertainment. They were survival manuals. This story is your survival manual. The machine is not your friend. The platform is not your family. The algorithm is not your god. And the only way to win is to refuse to play the game as designed. If you can let something be true without needing validation that it's true, you're free. Where they are now, Chioma and Damilola still live in Lekki. They still love each other, imperfectly, privately, really. They have a daughter now. Beautiful girl. Bright eyes. You will never see her picture on the internet. Because they learned the most important lesson the ancestors tried to teach us. Not everything that is precious must be displayed. Not everything that is true must be performed. Not everything that is yours must be shared. The real marriage, the boring, sacred, unglamorous, private marriage, is thriving. The fake one, the Instagram one, the one that lived in 340,000 minds, that one is finally, mercifully dead. And in its death, they found resurrection. If you're performing your life instead of living it, this story is your warning. Thanks and remain blessed.